What's going on, y'all? Ooh, mm. Okay, listen. This episode of the Half and Half Nots, I'm gonna be 100 complete honest. It was a little boring. It was a little dry until it got to the end. The beginning, it popped off for a minute, then it kind of died down. Then when it got to the end, we was like, oh shit. But let me tell you something. Meek Mills then fucked it up for me because, like, I'm trying to look at this and then my Twitter going off and all this stuff. Meek Mill, stop. Stop. Take the loss and just keep it pushing, okay? Just hope that Nicki brings you as her plus one to the VMAs, okay? And move on. So let's get back into this review. The Halves and a Half. Now this is what season 3, episode girl night something. Okay, it'll be in the title. Pick up where it left off. Wasn't I right? Wasn't I right? Didn't I say that was gonna happen? Okay. So y'all know Benny got into the car accident, right? He flipped that car on purpose. Alright? And he climbed out. I was like, hold on, bro. Sometimes when you think you ain't broke some shit, you try to put some pressure on it and that shit just go click. And he just went on ahead and said, fuck it. His adrenaline was going, so he was just like, he was tunnel vision out this motherfucker. He got up out that car, pulled Quincy up out the car, whooped Quincy ass. Let me tell you something. Did y'all see the way that they were slowing up the trying to be so damn dramatic with it? They slowed up the it was so funny. They slowed up the fight scenes like this. First he was like, bam, bam. Then it went. I was like, what is y'all doing? But it was funny to me. It really was funny. But then, the way that Quincy was getting his ass whipped, all I could think of parallel that was playing against this scene was the Players Club when Ronnie got her ass whipped by Diamond at the end. And Quincy was laying on that floor. Benny was holding his ass. Bam! Here go Benny. So you was gonna do this for my sister. Boom! You gonna hit my mama. Boom! And all I was thinking was, this for Ebony. And this is for me. Y'all know, y'all saw that whole thing. If you niggas, y'all ain't seen the Players Club, I don't know what's going on with y'all. That is classic, okay? Classic. A lot of, classic fucking lines and everything. But, anyway, Benny punched him so bad. Here go Quincy was like, you better kill me. Benny was trying to knock him out. And he thought he did a good job because all of a sudden he called on the phone. He was like, oh my God, 911, I just got into an accident. And so, please come help me. Come help me. The car flipped over. I said, Benny, what you doing? And I knew he was going to do this. I knew he was going to take them drugs and plant it on Quincy. But see, this is where Benny fucked up. He got too carried away. He was fired up. Okay, he was fired up. He thought he was really doing something. He thought I got this nigga. But you didn't really get the nigga. Okay? You didn't really get the nigga. Because the whole plan was for him to get caught and go back to jail. Okay? But you punched him until he went to sleep for a second. But he was still conscious because he heard and knew what you were saying because he took them drugs out their pocket and he kept it right there. So when the cops came, this motherfucker had already gotten up and laying in the bushes over there. And I'm sitting here like, damn, nice try, Benny. A for effort because you did that a little bit, But, next time, do it a little bit harder, do it a little bit longer, and double tap that hoe a little bit more, okay? So, moving on from that. We get this thing with I'm gonna be honest. Candace, her scene, usually Candace give it to me all the time. But this scene with her, this episode, she just didn't do nothing for me. Her and Oscar, she went on ahead and went on the jet with him and they talking about money and shit and he was like, I can help you make some real money. And then she was like, so you got a big jet. They told me not to, buy a plane or a boat or something like that. Those are the big items that you don't get. And he said, spoken like somebody who ain't got no money. I said, oops, that's kind of true because I wouldn't spend my money on that shit. And then he was like, I can help you make some real money, like tens of millions of dollars. And I said, oh. If my tongue is blue, I was drinking some Hawaiian punch. I'm sorry. The shit is good. My thirst needed to be quenched after the last ending of this episode. It was just a lot. It was just a lot for me to take in. I felt so bad. We'll get there. We'll get there. And she was like, okay, so they finna be a member of the Mile High Club. Basically he talking about money, talking about taking her $5 million. Oh, it's not a lot, but it's a good investment. It's a good start. My little 50,000 is gas money and all this stuff. So I'm just get these things out the way, because later on they in New York and they talking all about this money stuff, and I guess he do stocks, bonds, and investments and all this flipping money. I don't know what he was doing, but he was doing some financial shit. Okay, mind you, I went to business school and I really wasn't paying attention to what he was saying, because I was just over there saying. I really was. And girl, I got my degree in business. Okay, and we had all them finance classes. God damn, I couldn't stand it. But anyway, I totally, it comes in handy because I get what people talking about. But shit, when I was taking them, I could not stand them classes. But anyway, so she doing all that stuff, and next thing you know, they go to the opera, and when they come out the opera, he like going on a horse and carriage ride, on a horse and carriage ride, and it's cute, but I just don't trust Oscar. Okay, Oscar is a plant. I don't give a fuck what nobody said. We all know Oscar is a plant. And all this money talk, and we like, so are you really here trying to get that money back for Jim? And you keep putting this money out there and all this stuff, and then you want to butter her up and be like, nah, girl, I just want to be with you. I had this puppy, I seen it, and I nursed it back to health. So what you trying to say? I'm a puppy? No, bitch, I'm just saying, if I love somebody, I'ma love them. Who was like, wait a minute, so you love me? You was like, when we was making love. I said, no, y'all didn't make love. Okay, y'all fucked. Y'all had sex. You banged it out. But that was not love. Okay? I hate when y'all say that. Just say when we had sex or when we did it. If you don't want to say when we fucked, okay, just say when we did it, when we had sex. It's not making love. Love is when you're in love. That's what I equate it to. I hate when people say that stuff. But he was basically he is breaking Candace down. I was like, what is it about this dude that is breaking you down like this? Like, first of all, he already got her to say a whole bunch of stuff about her that she don't never tell nobody else previous episodes ago. And now she just sitting there looking like she finna cry because this man said he damn near loved her. Woo! I said, what the hell? I understand, because all it takes is the words. No, I'm not going to get into it because I can tell y'all some things. But no. Moving on from that, that was just them. Then we get this scene with David and Jeffrey. Jeffrey comes into David's office and basically talking to him, and David had gave him a new credit card and all that stuff. And he was like, your mother come around. And I'm just sitting here like, I like Jeffrey. I feel bad for Jeffrey because of the position that his mama put him in. Me as a fellow member of the LGBT community, I never had to go through that type of discrimination when I came out to my mother and all that stuff, and even my parent, whatever the fuck, nobody. Okay, they didn't understand it a little bit, but they ain't shun me like that or nothing like that. But they was just like, bitch, okay, do you? All right, and I was like, fine. But the shit that Jeffrey's going through, I have a little soft spot because it's a lot of stuff like this that goes on in the community for real. But my only question is, what? How old is Jeffrey? And my second question is, why are you giving him a new credit card and not telling that nigga to get out there and go get him a job? I mean, he come from privilege. Okay, he come from prestige and privilege and money and wealth and all that stuff, so he gonna spend daddy money. So, I mean, I guess, but nigga, go out there and get you a job. And then as soon as I said that, he was like, I guess I'm gonna go finish school and, get my degree and start putting in some work and go get a job and all this stuff. And that whole conversation, it was just a father and son. They both trying to understand each other and they both trying to lend support. And I think Jeffrey was trying to lend that support to his father the same way that his father was lending support to him. But by telling him, you want me to be me? You want me to be out there and be free and to not worry about what mama's doing? But look at what you're doing. You're still backing this woman who is evil. Don't you call your mother evil. Have you ever been in love? I mean, yeah. With who? What? You ain't have to say. You don't have to say if you don't want to say. Wyatt. Oh, so Wyatt's gay? No, he ain't gay, but I've been having this Jones form, and you know, it is what it is. But you won't understand what it feel like when you really get in love with somebody and you just want to protect them. Your mama going through some bullshit, and I'm just gonna be here when she finish. I'm sitting here like, bullshit. David, she is making you look like a fool, and you are loyal to a fucking fault to this woman who has played you and fuck slipping off a wagon. That bitch just slipped off the wagon into a creek, fell down into the ocean, and came back up on the other side. Bitch, she is just gone. She is just gone. Okay. He told her, you know, here go, Jeffrey. You seem happy with Maggie. Why don't you go ahead and be with her? It was like, bitch, I ain't happy with that bitch, and I ain't touched that bitch. I had an opportunity to do something, but I didn't. And your mama think we did, so, you know, ain't no change in her mind. It was like, you know, mama ain't gonna change. And I was just sitting here like, David, yeah, you know your wife ain't gonna change. Your wife went as far as fucking another man just to get back. And she just don't care. And Jeffrey started listening because Jeffrey was like, you have to understand that your wife, you married the evil bitch. He said, don't you call her evil no more. And he was getting out. But I said, oh, that's love right there. Because he ain't want nobody talking about, not even the son talking about his wife. I said, it be like that sometimes. You just be, love is blind because it'll take over your mind. What you think is love is truly not. You need to elevate and find, you know. And that song comes in handy. Eve, I wish she'd come back out with that pit bull and skirt type of shit, bitch. Yes, the industry needs it. But anyway, Jeffrey was like, so mama ain't evil, huh? I love that hoe too. But look at all the stuff that she done did to me. You know Melissa pregnant. Wait a minute, what? Girl, yeah, Melissa pregnant. Mama did it. She holding back her father's medicals and all this stuff, his medicine and all this shit. Ain't this about a bitch? So she done did that. She don't want me to be gay no more. She playing me. She cut off my credit. She did this. She had Quincy whoop my ass. And you want to say she ain't evil? I said, you know, David, it's looking like 0 for Veronica. And, you know, on the evil, she's like a 10, okay? Veronica good, 0. Evil, 10. Veronica, you know, that's what it's looking like. And he just don't want to see it. Even Maggie, little side ass. Maggie come in there, trying to talk to him and, you know, telling him all the type of being all cheery and stuff. Look who did this and look who did that. And gets in the newspaper. Who's the best assistant? I am. Yes, I am. That's how she wanted. Like, she wanted to be a pat on the head or something like that. You know, her pants was moist as soon as she came up in that office and thought David was just going to be like, oh, baby, go on, let me give you this dick right quick for doing this for me. Because she made a story up saying that the fire that started at their house was from a kerosene lamp or some shit like that. I was like, a kerosene lamp? They still got those? What the fuck is on? Okay, you know, if that's what you want to go with, that's all you can go with. That's all you can go with. You could have said electrical or light or some shit like that, but you know, fine. Do what you gotta do. What the fuck a kerosene lamp gonna do up in the bath in the bedroom? Or maybe I'm getting that wrong. But bitch, still. Okay, you know, fine. Moving on from that. She just all up on Veronica would never cheat on you. Would you do this and would you do that? I'm like, Maggie, let it go. We don't really want David with Veronica at this point, but we don't want him with Maggie either. Because like somebody tweeted me, Maggie and Veronica the same damn people. They both crazy. Just Maggie slick with hers. Maggie just undercover. She ain't so outwardly with it. You know, because Maggie's still trailing Veronica. Veronica out here at the tow yard just looking very crack-ish. Okay, looking like she's fiending for her next hit. Like, damn, where the weed man at? Where the coke man at? Where they at? I'm right here. Where is that? You know, and she still got the private detective just taking pictures and all that stuff of her and reporting back to Maggie. And I'm just like, let it go, Maggie. Leave it alone. I mean, because even if he do find out, David is not going to go to your arms. He just not going to do. I just don't see that happening. But after that, Veronica calling Benny. Benny ain't picking up the phone. So we're going to move on from that. While they were still in the campaign office, Jim comes in. Jim is on the phone talking and trying to see where Professor Cantor at. You know, Cantor or whatever the fuck his name is. And They was like, yeah, we know where he's at and all this stuff and yada yada yada. And basically Jim was like, David was like, are you sure you're supposed to be back? Because you supposed to take some time off. He was like, being back is helping me, okay? That's what I need. We was like, fine. Back at the Christ house, Catherine trying to find Amanda's diary. So Hannah help her. Catherine winds up finding that diary. She winds up reading that diary, and it winds up confirming everything that Candace said, that she got raped. And she told Jim, and Jim said, okay, no, it's really on right about now. It's really the fuck on. And then, Catherine was like, what the fuck Wyatt at? He told her about Wyatt, basically how he arranged, and he told David, I think, how he arranged, for him to be there for a week or whatever. Like, Jim was on some, he told David that. Jim was on some Beyond Scared Straight type of shit, okay? That's what he was doing. If you never looked at Beyond Scared Straight, when they be having all them up in there. On next week episode, it's so funny, but it be so wrong. It's this little chunky boy on there. And the inmate was like, go ahead, give me your shoes, give me your shit, give me your this. You mean, you bad, you this, you that. Over there looking like a cupcake, honey bun eating motherfucker. I like to fucking that. It was so damn funny, okay? I be watching that shit because it's be hilarious, but I just cannot believe that these parents be allowing their kids to, talk to them any type of way and be scared of them. Knock that little motherfucker out. You call the cops. You got to call the cops on your kid. He got to stay out. I'm sorry. If I got to call the cops on my child, you're not coming back in this house, okay? Not so ever, okay? I'm just saying. You want to be big and grown? There you go. Do that shit out there, and whatever fall happened. Whatever happened, happened. But, that's what Jim was on. He was looking at them episodes, and he got that idea. But, so now it's on. What else happened? Because the episode wasn't really much. Really wasn't much. I spoke on Jim. I'm trying to do all this stuff before I get the big reveal out the way. Okay. So when Quincy got his ass beat, Benny reached up in his pocket and pulled out his wallet and had a picture of his sister. And he was like, where's the boy at? Where's Quincy Jr. at? I guess the picture of the sister, and I don't know if the boy was in the picture or whatever, but, Benny figured it out that the boy is with the sister. When Veronica was calling Benny, she calling so that she can get to that tow yard and see where that car at. She wanted to meet up with him. At first, he hung up the phone on her, but he called her back and said what? And the way he was talking, he was like, "Girl, what the fuck you want? You're irking me. Okay, yeah, I'll meet you not in a few days." She talked about some, I need some paperwork that you need to sign for the court and all this stuff, so they won't, hike up your insurance or some shit like that. He was like, "Girl, we can do this in a couple of days or so." She was like, "No, I need to do it as soon as possible." He was like, "Well," she was like, "Can we do it tonight?" He was like, "No, I can't do that." "Well, we can do it in the morning. I mean, I can come to your place." She was like, "No, why don't you just come to the tow truck yard because I'll be there in that area." He was like, "Okay, fine, girl, get the fuck off my phone." That's how he was rushing her off the phone, because he was sitting outside in his truck in the deep hood in somebody project, okay? I mean, filth, graffitied out, and just disgusting. I said, damn, what the fuck? The building looked like a goddamn abandoned building. I said, motherfuckers living up in that shit. Sad, but true. And, he see this girl come in, and she goes upstairs. We see her go upstairs. She looking at her mail and stuff. Benny gets out the car. Benny listening on the door like this. I said, Benny, don't put your ear to that door like that. If the outside looks disgusting like that, imagine what the inside look. No. Okay, go clean go get. I wanted to give him a sterilized alcohol pad so he could just clean that off. I was just concerned for his health, And he bust that door open. He was like, "Where Quincy at?" She was like, "Bitch, you gotta go. You gotta go. When Quincy come, he gonna whoop your ass." Now, don't do this. Don't threaten to get and whoop somebody's ass by going to get a skillet and don't use it. Okay? Benny was up in there trying to get little Quincy Jr. Let me tell you this. When he went into that room, and it was like a Tribe Called Quest of kids up in there, and all I can think was, what type of welfare scam is going on up in this bitch? I'm just looking like, how many kids? And it was different ages. And you know what they do when they do that? They take these kids in and they get amounts of money and stuff. The more kids you got, the certain amount of money you get on your link card or your EBT card, whichever one y'all call it. Out here we call it link. Or, the amount of government assistance, or, if it's legally through the welfare people, the amount of money that you get, the more kids. I was like, what the hell? And I've seen that shit go on in the hood, for real, for real. Because let me not put her shit out there, but she do that shit, okay? They be lying, and they be getting a whole bunch of, like, that. My Uber driver was up there trying to sell some food stamps, talking about some, she got 1,000 or 2,000. I said, how the fuck you get that much on food stamps? God damn. It was a couple of thousand or something. I said, huh? What the fuck? No, Ashley, no, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. And no shade to those that's on that system that really actually need it. But these motherfuckers was plotting and planning on how to sell and get some more. I'm sitting in there like, you do have a client in the back seat of your car listening to this, okay? And had her on speakerphone. Bitch didn't give no fuck. But, Lil Quincy was like, he was like, do you know who I am? No, I'm your Uncle Benny. Benny, my uncle, come with me. I can't come with you. You better not go with him. You better, I'll bust you across your head. I said, do it, bitch. Do it. You ain't gonna do nothing. And Lil Quincy I said, fuck the Q&A. You confirmed that that's Lil Quincy. Pick his ass up and let's go. It ain't no let's walk behind me and grab my hand. Pick his ass up and let's go. Because she ain't do shit afterwards. She just let them walk the fuck out. So they go to the house, and the last scene was Hannah seeing that Lil Quincy was home. I said, please go take that child to the ER and go get him some shots. Because he looked like he ain't had shots all his life. Okay? And what irked me, that Quincy Sr. was putting all them thoughts in his head, and probably the sister saying that, Candace didn't want him. Because when he was like, you want to go see your mama? She don't want me. I said, see, this ain't shit, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? And on the next episode, somebody gonna die. I want somebody to die. They need to find Quincy and they need to kill him, or they need to go back. Candace needs to go find the sister and whoop her ass, because that little boy had to literally go to the ER, because when Hannah tried to hug him or something like that, he was like, oh, and I said, they been beating this child's ass. Ain't this some bullshit? Shoulda fucking known. I ain't even fucking surprised. Look at the environment. But y'all, that was the Haves and the Half Nots. Y'all tell me how y'all feel about it. Every time I say I'm not gonna give a long review, I give y'all a full ass review. I be trying to do 20 minutes for this review, but I just can't do it. But y'all love it. But anyway, I'll see y'all later. I still haven't decided if I'm gonna do Bad Girls Club. I just don't feel like it. I'm not even interested. But I'll see you next week. I'm finna go check out Hoop's new show. All her sisters got they got strong masculine ass jawbone. I'm just confused by it. But I'll see y'all later. Peace.